We are live. We have the lovely Anya there on my left. I don't know what it looks like on Facebook, probably the other side, my right. And what's coming up? What? Sorry, I assume we're live. Give me half a
Yeah.
second. They changed the whole interface today. It's like, what the hell? Uh, it did something completely different. Let's go to my page. Oh yeah, it says we're live now, and you're on my right, and that looks all happy. Okay, good. Sorry about that. So today we are here to discuss a new topic. As we get more and more awakened, I guess we start to realize that we're all connected to everybody else, and that less and less it's a specific experience for us other than learning and other things, but there's a huge element of service and working with other people, sharing our knowledge, especially right now, getting people more awakened is critical because there's a huge amount of fear and discomfort and a whole bunch of societal programming that's basically mangled us all up, which is okay. And so that's act as a being of service. And if people don't understand what of service is, it essentially just means that you help other people along the way. It's not always an expectation of money or always direct balance in that moment, because there's lots of people out there that can't afford it, or they don't feel comfortable exchanging money or other things. But once you start to comprehend that there's a balance in the universe, and if you keep being of service to other people, other beautiful things will happen to you. Other people will be of service to you, and there's this magical balance once you start to trust. But unfortunately, in our world of marketing and business and being a coach and guide and all this kind of stuff, they put this huge focus on money. And yeah, you got to focus on money because that's what pays your bills and all those kind of things. But also, I think Anya and I both can talk about this. When you fully surrender, money just shows up in the ways that you need it. You're maybe not rich and you're not buying the big cars or whatever, but everything that you need to keep you in balance and keep you continuing to be of service just kind of starts to show up. And we'll get into that a little bit more as we talk, but it's not in the way that we're taught. It's not in money and balance and which show and all this kind of stuff. It's just a new way of looking at things. So, and then there's a flip side. There's, as light workers, we had to go through an experience of different version of being service, which the world taught us is just to help everybody and please them all the time and make them. It kind of twisted the act of being of service into something that was more malignant and using and vampirish and other things. So I'm sure as light workers, we've all felt that other experience of being used or being asked to help all the time, but they never got around to helping you or whatever. And it doesn't always have to happen that way, but it was also part of our wound. It stayed in us that we weren't worthy and we had to keep helping. And that was how we received love. So that's the 3D version of being of service, but it just got a whole bunch of stuff twisted in it that made us servants and slaves more than being of service of fully empowered beings. So that's kind of what we're here to talk about. So I'll let Anya have some comments, and then we'll go into some experiences that we've had to kind of help frame this for everyone. So go ahead, Anya.
Thank you. Yeah. It's funny because when I was growing up, the concept of being of service sounded so weird and unnecessary. It's like going to school and stuff. It conditioned you to like just be everyone for themselves. And like it was just that, oh, you just need to get a job, you just need to get a good job. And like I had no idea what being of service truly meant growing up. But like, even listening to like Bob Proctor today, like he talks about is if you want to make a lot of money, be of service, figure out what a human needs and be the one that can give that need in such a unique way that like, you know, you're irreplaceable. And that's kind of where the path that I've been on. But it's just so funny because growing up, that was never taught in school. You're not of service in that way. And like being of service, it kind of felt like, oh, I had to go to a soup kitchen and or a church or some sort of thing like that. And it was this very 3D paradigmy thing. Whereas to today, I learned that I could be of service just being myself, and just the more that I'm in my flow, the more that I can pour into like the collective, the external. And like when you like reach that like state, like beautiful things start to happen. And that's where I'm at.
Okay, so you said you begin to pour into those around you. So in my experience, we pour from our excess when we're in of service because we're excited.
Yeah.
Where not being of service, we were pouring from our love, which is our 100% that we only have this much in ourselves of, and we became in lack over time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we expected the repayment of service to be in love so that we kept balanced. And then it goes into relationship, right? You give 50% of your love to that lover, and you keep failing because that lover, just loves that gooey, ooey feeling that you make when you love them, but they don't give back because now they're tired and they need to relax. So we end up with this constant push-pull of being in your passion, which is of service, and being filled by what you do, and having so much more that people just feel it. I spent Saturday afternoon and went to a community group, and it was beautiful, and it was a whole bunch of spiritual people, and it was so amazing. When I went there, this kind of light, I don't know how to describe it. When I meet people, some people have this kind of like highlighter, they're a little brighter than other people. And I know that I'm going to work with them in some way, shape, or form. And it may not be right away, but eventually. And a whole bunch of those people that I'd been seeing on these weekly calls showed up, and I knew exactly what needed to happen. It was just like, hey, let's talk. And it's like one lady, it's like, oh, I have a really hard time in public and speaking to people or whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. So when's the first time you felt like that? And we're going through this process. That was being of service. It was like her higher self was saying, I need somebody to come through her to get her through this block, through to get to her, to get through this block. And it was, I wouldn't say it was like a fire hose, but it was meant to be like a fire hose. It was kind of deluging to get her to break out of the story. And it's like, I asked the question, I said, how many people are you hurting by not giving your act of service to them? And she'd never thought of it that way. And I conjecture that to people on the call. How many people are you hurting by not shining your light into the world? And it's a big number. And she's like, I never thought of it that way. And she's just kind of sitting with it. And it kind of ended the conversation because she was kind of discombobulated from there. And then other people just started lining up. They were just like waiting for their opportunity. It's like, hey, are you a light worker? And we're having a big conversation. And this other guy's a truck driver, and he's shining his light at all the truck stops and meeting Uber drivers and all these kind of things. And they're really deeply spiritual people being of service in whatever way they know how. And another couple, it's like, oh, well, we do this really new modality. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? And it's like, how many people do you get it to? Well, we're not quite ready for mainstream. We just do it for friends. And I'm like, once again, how many people are you hurting by not having your gift starting to shine out, right? And that is where a lot of us are stuck. We want to be of service. We feel real small because our parents and our family and our world shrank us down and said, you're worthless. You can't be anything. And it's not true. And right now, the awakening time is about shining out of every orifice in your body and having people see that. And I was just bubbling when people were showing up like that. I was just shining a light, and everybody wanted to be part of it, and they'd be injecting in the conversation. And I only had so many minutes I could spare with every person. But that's where this place comes in, right? We can share an hour and a half with people of our light and what's going on in our world. And hundreds of thousands of people can listen to it over time. That's what being of service is. It's like, we're not better. We don't know better than anybody else, but we found a way that felt better. And we're willing to share it and talk about it and see if maybe that'll help other people. It's not like, hey, you better follow me or you're not going to figure it out or whatever. No, it's like, if this question squiggles you up and you're just kind of like, ugh, why is that hurt? Then there's something off in your perception, and you're probably sitting in that reality that was be a servant, be a slave to me, and you weren't ever choosing yourself. So, sorry, I went on a bit of a tear there. Is there any comments you want to?
No, that was good. Well, just something that came up for me in my weekend was there was this girl that I used to go to design school with. And after design school, we became really close. We started hanging out all the time. Like I showed her all my friends and we would party together, blah, blah, blah. But then we kind of fell out, and then we rejoined again, but then she like went to a different country and I was overdoing my own thing. And then as I evolved, I just kind of become more choosy about where I put my energy. And I just kind of cast her off. I'm like, this was great for what it was. Like, I'm just on a different page now. And she came back into my life. She had reached out over the weekend. And she was saying that she was in need of hanging out with me. And my system was just like, my whole body was like, no, 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 no. That's just what it said. And so at first I didn't want to respond. I was just going to leave it unresponded, but I was like, no, Anya, like just speak your truth, but just say it in a polite way, but respond. And I did. I was like, hey, I'm in hermit mode right now. I'm not really seeing anyone, but I hope you're well. And then she was like, I'm in a rough place right now and I really need to be around good friends. Can you just make an exception for me? Hit me up. And I never said anything because my body already calculated what the fuck this was. So just her having that exception thing, like I'm some sort of business charity, like I was just like, I never responded to that. Right? Exactly. And in the past, I would have been used up because this person needed me. But I think in this way, I am being of service because there's probably a lesson to extrapolate from there for her. And I'm being of service in a sense of just being in my sovereignty.
And the first person you have to be of service to is who?
That inner God.
And you'll be used up if you can't be of service and take that bath or go get the massage or go pay for some food that you love or whatever. That tank goes empty and you felt it. You're just dragging your ass around, not knowing what to do because you got used up.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think you probably could resonate, like in the past, like I felt like I was always my friend's, knight in shining armor, whatever the equivalent of that is for a friend. But like I was just always there for them. Always, even if
the space holder. Yep, keep going.
Yeah, even if it just like I had no energy, I would just do it. And like, yeah, I guess sometimes it would like come back my way, but like for the most part, it was just emptying. And like I didn't like it anymore. And so I was like, fuck this.
Right. And did they do the same for you in the end?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but it's just like an energy thing. Like I'm just on a different frequency altogether. So just
right.
Yeah.
Well, and in the end, you never really asked for their energy because you were sovereign in your own need.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you imagine how many relationships, boy-girl relationships and whatever are all based on that? Feed off me because I'm tired and I don't want to go on, or they grab in codependence, they grab on because they don't have the energy for their own. So they get somebody that shines bright. And how many relationships have you been in that way? I know a bunch of them. Yeah, it's for me. Sorry.
No, yeah, for sure. I think we've gone through that similarly, like a whole roll call.
Yeah. and to me it felt like this lie, because it was like this relationship is wanted and they're pulling at you and there's sexuality and all these other energies, but there's this lie underneath about what the need is. It's not like I'm loving you because I want a partner. It's like I'm loving you because I don't feel supported, or I feel angry, or I don't have enough energy to get through my own life. So it's kind of this like, help me and I'll do whatever you want, or whatever, which becomes codependent really fast.
And it's like, instead, I think we're programmed to, rather than just be direct about what that need is, we have these manipulative tactics to like get to it.
Mhm. And those are being called in the light. I don't know about you, I can see them from across the room. It's just so crazy, because I think a lot of relationships are actually bound in that, whether we want to admit it or not. I'd say probably 80+%, 85 maybe, are people just trying to manipulate because they're feeling sad, they're feeling lonely, they just want somebody in their life. They're not being true to themselves or their body or their sexuality or all these things. And there's all these massive wounds and, oh, I was used, or I was raped, or I was taken from, or whatever, which really aren't true. They were just us unacknowledging these signals we were putting out, or thinking they're said, but they're unsaid, and all these claws and hooks and stuff come out that are hiding in the background, that are really our wound, but really we're trying to relate through them. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I would be so guilty of just pouring everything I had into this one relationship. It was exciting, you know. Who doesn't want to be in this loving, like, you have an attractive person that's into you or whatever, and then, or even like work related, where you're just like pouring all of that energy into it, and then and I realized, what am I doing? Like, I feel like I'm doing this because I have a fear of losing it, so I'm trying to make up for this inadequacy that I've misperceived.
And you're scared you're not going to get it back, so you're just going all in because something's off already and you're feeling it, and they're starting to use you, or, oh, now you got to work longer hours, and, oh, if you want that promotion, you better get this project done in half the time that it normally takes. And you're prostituting yourself, literally. I don't know a better word, because you're giving up on loving yourself, hoping that somebody's going to show love to you so that you can finally agree with them and say, I'm loved.
Yeah. And I feel like being of service, like, it's just so effortless. You don't have to chase anything. Like, you just shine your light and the situation comes to you, and you just get to be yourself in this beautiful balance.
Exactly. It's beautiful. But very quickly, service that's not in balance shows up. And then some hard conversations have to have. So I was telling you just before we went on the call, I have this man, I do IT support. I fix phone systems for people. And over the last 3 years, this guy phones me out of the blue, asks for a whole bunch of questions, 15 or 20 minutes, and then says, oh, I'm going to get you over and we're going to get this done. Well, I had a dream about him. This was the last time, was about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. I had a dream that this was all going to be closed up. Well, he phoned me this morning. It's like, oh, this is broken and this doesn't work, and can you figure it out? So I spent 10 minutes. I said, okay, we'll figure out what the problem is, but really I need to go out there and I'll go out and fix it and we'll get her done. And we finally, after like 10, 15 minutes of my time or whatever, sent him pictures and trying to figure stuff out. We find out that he bought the wrong thing and he installed it and it doesn't do the function that he's expecting. So no wonder it doesn't do it. And then finally, a part of me just had to stand there. And it was like, okay, I fucked up. I'll figure it out or whatever. It sounded like that was the end of the conversation. Now he's going to get the right thing and he'd figure it out himself. And so finally I said, I don't feel really respected. I said, I've spent over an hour of my time helping you with these different things, and you keep saying you're going to phone me back. I haven't made a penny from this. I don't have to be of service for that, but I'd lovingly give those things to try and help them out. And then you build a trust and then you go forward. And I said, if this is the end of our conversation, don't expect me to ever answer the phone for you again, which is really direct and like, whatever. And then he comes back in this little child and he's like, oh, look how childish you are. Like, it's not all about the money. And it's like his wound is pouring out and he expects, and he uses people all the time to I'm a professional. I do this stuff. He's a hobbyist trying to fix phone systems. Would you not want to have somebody that has my knowledge that you can come to solve all your big problems? And I'm not even asking for a ton of money. Like, give me half, like $50 or whatever. I charge $100 an hour. But no, he instead turned it around and said, I'm being really childish and whatever. And I was planning to get you to do the job. Well, I couldn't trust him the first time. So why would I trust him the third time? So I said, good riddance. And I blocked him, and I'll never deal with that person again. I have a life, I have knowledge, I have skills that have a value. And if you expect to get it all the time and then you lead me on, I'm the stupid one by the third time.
Yeah.
So as light workers, but look at how simple that became. It wasn't like, fuck you, you ignorant asshole, I'm never going to talk to you again. He very clearly showed me he had no respect for the time or effort that I was giving him. So I didn't need to continue. That's where you call out being used versus being of service, because being of service, you'll do it once or twice and you'll accept it. But after that, you all of a sudden question. It's like, okay, do you have a balanced perspective or the whole world owes you perspective? And then I'm getting used, and I chose not to anymore. And it's beautiful. I feel really comfortable. I can feel his energy trying to, oh, you did something to me. I did nothing. I did nothing other than stand in my sovereignty and choose not to talk to a person anymore. You were getting it for free, and now I cut you off. Did I do anything wrong? No. Light workers understand having those hard conversations, those moments of truth where you feel that maybe they'll have retribution to you, or they'll be angry at you, or they won't be your friend anymore, is the most beautiful thing. It might take a little while because you're sitting there like, I want people to like me is just sitting there, and I'm looking at it and say, no, that person wasn't liking me. That person was abusing me and using me because he had no intention. Yeah, maybe he said it afterwards once I called him into the light, and now his darkness is sitting there on the table and it's squealing and screaming. I don't have to talk to that squealing and screaming. I could sit there and justify myself. No, goodbye. Block the call, forever gone. I've not lost nothing. Yeah, maybe he would have paid me for it. Maybe more than likely he wouldn't have, because it was like some retribution thing.
It's like, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, the more and more you keep standing up for yourself, the less and less that happens anymore, because there's no test required because your value is there. So
yeah, I was just going to say, like, even if it was, I'm at the point, like, even if it was a paid project or whatever, if like the energy is just not aligned, like I can't even do it because I can't deal with the money is not even worth it if the person's going to be a pain in the fucking ass.
And you'll spend 5 times longer doing the exact same thing when it's not in flow.
Yep.
Yeah. And if I would have probably helped him, he'd be phoning me every hour or whatever. This didn't work out. This didn't work out or whatever. No, you are not at a same vibrational. It's not a judgment. It's like, no, I couldn't possibly imagine myself phoning somebody 3 times, taking an hour of their time without some kind of repayment.
Yeah.
My yoga teacher, money's a little tight right now. And I'm like, money's a little tight. And she's like, you don't even have to pay me. So I pay her half what she'd normally get. And she's happier than hell with that, because I'm coming from this place of trying to meet a balance, and the balance will all sort itself out in other ways.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's so amazing. So.
Yeah. It's just like the power of saying no is so rewarding, but it's so scary at first because you're like, oh, I don't want to upset this person. I want this person to like me, or I don't want to trouble them, you know.
But what's the price you pay if you don't?
Dude, your energy just tanks.
You'll keep
your self-worth. Yeah, your self-worth just falls.
And she will never know what you really wanted because you're afraid you might hurt her or she might be uncomfortable with it. Who lost? Both. Because she doesn't know she's dredging from the bottom of the hole and you're burned out, and eventually you're going to say F off and I hate you, you're just using me or whatever. Instead, you're like, I can't. What happened when you said you didn't even respond? Because I find sometimes a non-response, like the guilt thing she said, speaks 1,000 words. And they'll make a story out of it, and then they'll be apologetic in a couple more days, like, oh, I was really in a bad place and I apologize or whatever. But to respond just gives her something to feed on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And then like my other friend had texted me the same night. So just fucking weird, like weird energy. And I was like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with having friends right now.
Mhm. But ultimately, right now, we are going through the biggest cleanup of all the shit we've
Whew.
let lay in our life for our whole lifetime.
Yeah,
Agree? Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So people blowing up, people being codependent, all their behaviors that were the old way. Like I said, that guy I was talking about, I had a dream about him 2 or 3 days ago that this is going to get cleaned up one way or the other. And then he phones me this morning out of the blue, last person I expected. And we have this delightful interaction. And I'm quite overjoyed by it. Most people would be just like, oh, what an asshole or whatever. I'll go gladly delete his text messages and all that kind of stuff because it's just his trigger, his trauma of somebody standing up to him. But he needs that standing up to him to be able to start respecting other people because maybe he's lived his whole life that way. It's no judgment or whatever, but maybe that's the truth. And the first person that stands up, you get really angry and torqued off at or whatever, but it's really just himself that caused that. Because if it would have been like, I'm happy to pay you and let's get this going, he kind of referenced, let's figure out a way to maybe kind of pay you or whatever. And it's like, no, I don't want that. It's like, hey, I really value what you're doing for me. You're pulling me out of the toilet or whatever. You said 100 an hour or whatever. Let's plan around that. And then it would have been just like a completely different thing. But it was like, oh, you're so far away. You're going to charge me $2,000 or whatever to travel there. And it's like, no, you're an hour and a half from me. And if I don't charge travel time, that would be stupid of me. I'm just going to do it for free because I'm feeling guilted or whatever. No, thank you.
That's
Appreciate
the
it.
thing about us as light workers. Like we're just, really kind and just really just want to help at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But it's like, to what degree does that like take its toll? And like we're so afraid to actually charge an amount to that because we're
Mhm.
like, that's not me. That's not who I am. Like that is my self worth. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But it's like having that calculation to like I need to count my drive and all these other things is so necessary.
And how many times have you been disrespected over and over and over again when you didn't value those things? And then they
Yeah.
keep asking, and it's like a zero sum. And do they really respect what you did when it's free?
No, they don't. They'll respect you more, I feel like, when you stand up and have your boundary or even say no. Like, I feel like that there is more respect to there because you don't care. You're just being yourself at that point.
Mhm. Mhm. Ultimately, there's a lesson in each one of these things. So we're walking through it, and it's like the lesson is, yeah, they're taking us for granted or they're taking advantage of us. And if we don't learn by feeling uncomfortable that it's not working out, it becomes this like mess, right? So we've spent our whole life in this mess of people that are taking energy from us and not acknowledging our light and our power. And they keep doing it to give us the lesson. Often we just get angry because we're getting used all the time or whatever, but we're not seeing the lesson and the choice that we've made. So to stand up and finally make that should be rejoicing. But for somebody that's constantly got it and now you're not giving it, they feel like let down or that you don't, they want to turn it around and make it you're not respecting them. But
Mm-hmm.
guess what? They're probably that exact same kind of person in that exact same vibration getting used by other people. And the only way they can refill them is by coming
Mm-hmm.
off you. So we start looking at it, and it's not this resentment triangle or whatever. It's this thing of lessons and all these interactions. And you standing up shines a light and says, okay, I'm stopping this trend. And they're like, and they'll get angry at you because you're now shining this light, and they're going to have to look at their shit to understand why that hurt, because it had nothing to do with you. You just asked a hard question. And then magic starts to happen because it's like, okay, why is Anya standing up for herself? Well, that felt really good. And now I feel I have a good boundary with her. And every time I try and ask, I feel like now I have to return something in balance. And then they learn to be giving and receiving at the same time. So it's co-regulating everyone. But it's a little chunky at the beginning because it's like, oh, you expect me to give you something, but you didn't value yourself and you had zero value before. So now what the hell? And it's like, oh, well, I have no value. Oh, shit. At the same time.
Yeah. It's like it seems like you were his food supply, his energy supply, and like when you finally cut it off, like
Yeah.
the
Completely torqued out response.
the darkness was kind of like, you're not feeding me anymore.
Yeah, where the hell do you get off doing that and standing up for yourself? Because I can't stand up for myself. I find a lot of people that can't stand up for themselves treat other people exactly like that because they're the victim and they're constantly getting used and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so it's just like pain. It's their pain.
Being reflected at you for a moment, and I'm starting to discover the less and less you care about whether or not they're having pain, and the pain is actually them growing. So it's really not pain, it's an awareness that was projected at you for an instant because they wanted, you took it in the past and you held it for them and all this kind of stuff. So they want you to hold it so they don't have to do their work. But instead saying good riddance, I could have said, fuck you, you asshole, and get the hell out of my life or whatever. It's like, I slammed the door in an instant. It's like, I will not stand for that little childish behavior. You go sit in your corner and figure it out. And I didn't have to say any other words than good riddance, and I won't respond to his blither. That's what, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask you a question.
Please.
How can people be more of service?
Okay. People have to pull back and sit in their own shit before they can be of service. If you're exhausted and you feel depleted and you're empty, you cannot be of service to another person. And you have to get, I want to do a course on this. This is going to come up here really soon, but like energy management for empaths. It'll be like 2 hours. We'll try and keep it low cost. If people want to sign up, tell me or whatever, but it'll change their life, because just understanding what it is to be an empath and the abilities that we have, whether you acknowledge them or not, of being able to section yourself off and serve other people and help them. But the energetic impacts that we're experiencing in our body, we feel lost and confused and just crazy, because what happens when there's 15 parts of ourselves all around talking to 15 different people and you're freaking out sideways for no reason and you're angry all of a sudden for no reason, you don't know why? It's one of those 15 people because you're hanging there. So coming in, grounding, finding yourself, getting yourself back to like at least 70 or 80%, and then finding that one thing that lights you up with other people. It's like undefining a person. Some of the process that you and I go through sometimes, I undefine some of your stuff. It's like, okay, why is this? What story? What rule? Why does this feel like this? Where's your dad? Where's your whatever? Undefining a person lights me up, because it's like I can see into them and I can see where the block is, and I can ask these questions that go inside, and they just kind of have to make a choice, and they're sitting there. And that lights me up just as much as it'll light them up over time. I can see the realization in their face. I can hear, well, when we were talking on the weekend, I could hear the change in your voice from kind of frown, Anya, to, oh, wow, life's okay. Because there was this heavy shit floating around, and that lights me up. And then that starts to fill me, not from, I took some energy from you, but of, I'm using my gift to assist people. And it wasn't about money. It wasn't about here, payback or whatever. It was about a person that I respect that's stuck in a spot and can't understand it for themselves. And we did it. And you pay me back in other ways, discussions, these calls, what we work through, offline chats, all this kind of stuff. As I surround myself with those kind of people, then there's this trust built of people that will feed and give back, because my energy goes like this too. It's like, holy fuck, I just went through this thing, or these people tried to hurt me. And usually you don't end up with two people that are in the same space. Sometimes commiserating can be a beautiful thing, but most of the time it's like, okay, one's up, one's down or whatever. And then you can trust that other person, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Here's an alternative perspective. And
So
being of,
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying being of service is not a chasing thing, or I got to make money thing. I got to advertise for it. I got to whatever. It's freely sharing. Like, what are we doing here? We're not getting any money for it. We're not asking anybody for anything, but we're giving some perspective. And if shit hits the fan and things get hard or whatever, we're building a trust. And it's like, okay, these people know their shit and they've talked about it and shared about it and all this kind of stuff. I could be doing this and saying, okay, well, I'm not going to tell you these next 3 secret things, but you got to come to the paid event on Friday or whatever. That is not of service. It makes me want to vomit. Being of service is what we talked about last week. Like, it's like, can you imagine if you did healing sessions on people and instead of asking for money up front or whatever, you just say, okay, I'm going to do this session. Your highest good is going to come through. And I'd really like you to honor and say, okay, you'll give me 10% of your abundance that shows up from that healing session in the coming year. And that's easy because it's like, oh, I saw the results and I made a change and something happened and the money would come back. And it wouldn't even come back to line my pockets. It would pay my bills and my food, but it would go into the community. And now all of a sudden we'd have more things and have a workshop space or a community center that all that money would go into. And it would be far more than the actual dollars. Like, okay, this is $100 treatment. Well, it might be, oh yeah, they just made $1 million in their business because things went well. And now if that's $100,000, not that I'm holding people to that, but it's like, holy fuck, that came from somebody being of service to me. Look at how I can be of service to somebody else. And then the money just keeps feeding and flowing. That's the way it's meant to be. Not this, my service is better than yours because it's $1,000 and yours is only 100. So, but people's minds are so fucked up too. It's like, okay, if I did a service for $10 or free, they will be like, oh, that's not much of a service because he doesn't have any value of himself. But if all of a sudden that's 1,000, you got to wait a month to see me. Oh, they're going to take that and that 1,000 is going to really make some difference. It's like the placebo effect. Well, would you really think of paying $100,000? But now it's after the fact. You got the money and it's not just to make me rich. I don't want to be rich. I want to have some nice things, but I want to spread these principles, spread this idea of how to be of service to other people so that more and more people want to do it. And then everybody starts to wake up, and that being of service all of a sudden shifts your reality. And now you're smiling with people and people are not in shame and guilt anymore. Anyways, you were going to say something. I have some other.
No, that was beautiful. I was just gonna to recap. It's pretty much to be of service. You have to go through your own shit first, because through that you will be able to serve the medicine to the collective, and
Get out of your own way. Keep going.
Yeah, and it's pretty much a service of some sort of healing. It doesn't necessarily need to be I have to touch you and like do some sort of chant, but it's just whatever that light that you've cleared and is beaming so brightly that you can just transmit through whatever modality.
You could be that person that's greeting people at the door at a community center event and just shining and shaking everybody's hands and giving them big hugs. And everybody's just getting supercharged with this build, because when two come together, it's like exponential, the energy. And now all of a sudden that guy at the door has got 10,000% energy and he's just like hypercharging everybody walking in the door.
Yeah, I do that now. I've with this ascension process going on, it's like in the past, I would have just been like, even to a salesperson, like, hi, how are you? Okay. But now I just like, I'm so engulfed in the present moment with them. Like I went to a fabric store today and I was just, this lady was cutting something for me and I was like, your energy is so amazing. Like I'm going there, like, and I'm just like shining light. And then I'm having these like more above the surface conversations with her. And like, I'll just talk to other people and just like, emit that light for them.
And how much did the store change? How much more sales did it get? How much more on every street that you drove and the gas station you stopped at? That's what the light work is, of being of service. Like my son and I go into town most days to have lunch. It's not always because we want to be lazy or whatever. It's like my light has to go in, and Calgary is a very heavy space of energy, and I got to crack some of that stuff up. And it's only like an hour or two that I can stand to be in there sometimes because it's very dense. We go to a Circle K store and we get a drink some days, and they're these beautiful East Indian gentlemen that are behind there, and we're the highlight of their day. They just eyes perk up. You can see it over their mask, and they're beaming. How's your day? How's the weather? And we only talk for like 30 seconds or a minute, but you can say their whole energy boosted.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, you didn't come yesterday. It's like, oh, sorry. Well, we went to a different one, or something else was going on. That's being of service. And how many convenience store clerks are exactly that for you? You go in and it's like, hey, how's your day? And oh, it's $50 in gas or whatever. Or here's your whatever. And they just boost you a little bit, and you go home and you just like, wow, that was kind of nice. That guy was really friendly.
Yeah. I feel
That's
like
a light worker for you.
there is that misconception of like, oh, I have to toil to be of service. Like I gotta dig these holes to be of service. I gotta suffer to be of service. I gotta do this physical activity, whatever.
Just look at the day. I see relationship as part of spiritual awakening. So what if we had a space where you chose to go into relationship with people from a community space? That's what I want Living Your Light to have, is people with certain standards and whatever. And it's like, I met somebody in the community I want to be with, and I want to try them out. And there's this relationship agreement you go into, and you don't go into a dating relationship with a person unless you're willing to commit to like a 3-month process. And this is so that you don't run away, because the first sex is never good. And there's a whole bunch of unsaid stuff that's going to have to be dealt with. And you just conduct them through a process. It's like, okay, week 1, week 2, week 3, I could write it all out. And it's like, okay, what's your relationship agreement? And where does sexuality fit into that? And what's your beliefs on it? And what's your religion say? And get those all out before you even start. And now you're in this relationship. And it's like, okay, when you're triggered, that means that something really important is happening. You make an agreement to sit down with me. You don't have to. You can walk away the first day, but the second day you got to come back and you got to tell me what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I was an asshole or whatever, or whatever. And you keep working through that and make that. Can you imagine how many relationships it would take if you kept running away to get through all your shit? Probably dozens, if not more, probably your whole life sometimes. If you made one relationship where you made that commitment going in and you knew you were going to do it in this way, that you understood your sexual hangups, you understood your traumas, you understood all those things because you talked vulnerably with this partner. And that would be a call it a trial relationship, because we do it anyways. So really, what's wrong with it? We just go in and then like, oh, a week or whatever, I can't stand this person or whatever. But instead of making it a trial relationship, say, okay, every relationship until I make something more committed is going to go through this process of healing and me standing in my sovereignty and consent and discussions. And I can almost guarantee you 1, maybe 2 relationships would get you framed up on most of your shit, that you'd be ready for something really much deeper than we're probably ready for now. Because these people, they'd have the community space. It's like, she yelled at me and hates me or whatever. While the man goes back and talks to other men that have had that exact same thing. And it's like, oh, she's projecting, and it's probably a daddy issue or whatever. Go back and talk like this. And the girl can go back to the community and other women that are feeling the same thing. That's of service. Can you imagine at that point? It's like, I'm of service to me. I'm going to hold on to this, even though it's going to hurt and it may feel uncomfortable for a while. And I'm going to have the hard conversations to myself, but also being in respect to that other person. Wow. That wouldn't be thought of at all, but we're doing it anyways. How many people are having sex on the first or second date or whatever, and then it's like making the decision whether you like them or not based on how crappy the sex was or whether he got hard or all this shit, when it's like, oh, I've never had a woman sit with me and hold me in, I can't get hard in this moment or whatever. And it's not hers to fix. It's like, what's going on? Oh, it really scares me. What do you think of me? I mean, are you judging me? And my last girlfriend said there's something wrong with me and whatever. In that 3 months, you'd be going through all this kind of stuff. And you could come back to the community and say, okay, well, stuff's gone sideways or this is weird or whatever. I will guarantee that's all the spiritual work you need to understand yourself, figure shit out. And I bet you even just one relationship like that would make you so much of a better human being. And there could be irreconcilable differences. So you don't just jump into this with just anybody. It's like, okay, I see something here and there's a pull. Okay, I'm going into this agreement. We're going to agree. Yes, sexuality is part of the agreement. Yes, are we living together? Yes, are we doing all this? All the unstated stuff is stated on a checklist before you begin. And nobody's surprised by anything, and it's not leading anywhere. We're agreeing we can both walk away afterwards, but before we walk away, we got to have a little statement to the other person of exactly the reason why you don't feel right. And it's like, oh, you love fishing too much and stuff that's, but otherwise they could walk away and you would never know. There could be something stupid like that. You're always gone every weekend, and that's the time that I'm really horny or sexual, or I want to spend time together.
It's so helpful though, because like because then if we don't have that knowledge, we just create another false story around it, which is like the opposite of
self-deprecating and bad for us. And we lose, not them.
Everyone.
Absolutely. Keep going.
I love that. You've mentioned this concept before and I love it. Like I'm excited to try it out. Like I'm gonna go crazy with it. But I was just thinking, like, because we do have these like dating masks on, like I have to behave this way when I go on a date. Don't talk about these things. Like, let me just feel really tense the whole time because I'm holding back my authenticity because I just want to seem normal. Like, I just want to seem nice, whatever the case is. And so, like, then I have these expectations and these calculations. If this happened, then this should happen in this amount of time. And, it's just fucking disaster. Instead of being in the flow.
How often are you reading between the lines of what that statement meant and you don't even know what it is, instead of saying, what the fuck did you mean by that?
And saying, what the fuck did you mean by that? And not just being, oh, okay.
Well, it's not a little snipe. It's like, oh, I want to get back at you because my last lover did that or whatever.
No, not at all. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I just want to understand.
Well, and it's so much easier. It's like, okay, well, shit, when my last lover did that to me, she like cut my balls off and I didn't feel like I could respond. So that's the only way it was a learned behavior. So there's going to be lots of that shit from our past that's going to come up. You're going to have to be really vulnerable and honest about it. And nobody's bad. We're all learning in that second. And if we don't take that moment to be vulnerable. So I had a realization on the weekend. So you remember I talked about the woman that said, I have to get to know you better. I think we talked about it on one of the lives. And I started to see the energy underneath. It's like when we're attracted to a person, an energy starts to develop, a depth starts to grow, and you start to open. And then there's a point when you can start to go really deep, or it gets really scary, because it's like the last time I went deep, this person used it to smash me and crack me open and all this kind of stuff. So there's a trust point that never gets gone. So do you think that meeting your mother or finding out what your parents' names are and their family and how grandma was, which is the get to know you better kind of bullshit that really means nothing, really ever builds that trust? If anything, it's a death sentence from that point onwards, unless the man can be really tactful or whatever to pull it back out. So really, that's a protection mechanism. I need to get to know you better from continuing down that water slide of intimacy that was starting to be felt, because there's a sexual arousal. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that can be happening in that moment, but then it's like going too fast. So instead of saying, I got to get to know you better, it's like, this is going really fast and I'm feeling really uncomfortable. Can we talk for a little bit? Then it's not like I don't have to fit in and jump over this hoop. It's now all of a sudden, okay, we're having a discussion. It's like, well, the last time we went this fast or whatever, it went to sex really right away. And I don't want it to go that way again or whatever. And we go deep, but I don't want to get stuck in that. And it's like, okay, well, I hear you and I'll hold space for you or whatever, but it's feeling very sexual to me. So I'd really like to talk about what's going on that's holding you back from that. But I don't want to wait forever, because there's a choice in my side too. And it's not like, fuck off. I'll hold space for you all day long as you're being vulnerable and honest. But the minute you go and hide behind a statement like that or whatever, all the intimacy and the trust is lost. It's like, okay, we're not continuing down there. And I don't even know why. Because I'll tell you, a lot of men are holding a really vulnerable space, and it's trying to pull women into a surrender so that they can be themselves. Like, not a surrender and I'm going to have sex with you or whatever, but a surrender of vulnerability and intimacy. It's your choice whether it goes to sexuality or penetration or whatever, unless you can't even say your yeses and nos, and then maybe it becomes using or rape or whatever. But when there's a situation and it's like, okay, there's something funny going on here, and you got some past stuff that's showing up and all these wounds that are showing up, a person that you've just met, it may seem scary to share those things with that person, but how are you going to get to a deeper point with anybody unless you share that with somebody? And sometimes a person that you've just met is the easiest person to talk to. Have you ever had that where people share their whole life story to you, and it's just like, it was so simple because they trust you and they feel safe with you? That's what that pull starts to be, when that energy starts to go there and it starts to feel sexual and it starts to feel in your root and your genitals. And it's not just sex, it's not just arousal, it's your root opening and energy starting to move through there. And all of a sudden these trauma bubbles starting to want to talk. And it's like, oh, fuck, this is scary. Well, that's the point to say, okay, this is scary. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Can I speak to you? Can you hear me? I don't really want an answer, but can you hear about my experience and why I maybe don't feel safe right now? And I will be all over that. I'll just sit there and listen, because now we're making progress, where before it was just shut it off, and men kind of get that blue ballsy feeling or whatever, that this arousal or whatever was starting to come, and they have no idea why it stopped, and they feel bad, and then they're trying to shift themselves, and they're trying to, did I do something wrong? Was I too direct? And that's what'll happen. A woman, you're too sexual, you're making me feel uncomfortable. That's the whole role of the divine masculine, is to make that for the woman, but not with the goal of having sex at the end and putting another notch on your belt, with the goal of having something sacred with this person where you go really deep and they feel really respected and worshiped. And then we feel worshiped back, because it can't be one-sided either, because that nurturance and stuff, I'll hold space for you all day and listen and be your rock. But if it's like, okay, no, I'm done, I'm going to bed, or I'm rolling over or whatever, I feel really wounded afterwards, because there was no balance. There was no, I have wounds too. I held back and I sat there with those things. And maybe you don't want to hear that I maybe have wound, but that's the price of admission for any man that you're going to have. Same with women. They want to talk about some of their stuff.
As they should, I feel like.
Absolutely.
No, there's no loss in being yourself, really.
And I'll tell you right now, women can talk all day with women friends about really sensitive, deep stuff. Men can't. Shut the fuck up on that. Oh, she called your dick too small. She said she needs some more hose or whatever. Those are wounds that you don't go and talk to your buddies about, because that was a woman trying to push you away or scare you off. Right. And it wasn't really meant all the time. It wasn't probably even true sometimes, but scar a man, and then you don't have to deal with whatever energy is coming up. But if you go and you be vulnerable and you say what's going on, I'm feeling really scared and I don't want to proceed right now. Let's talk. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stand there. I'll listen. I'll work with you through that or whatever. But if that happens over and over and over again, and it's a tease or whatever, then we feel wounded again. But if it happens and the depth is going there and we're starting to feel part of it, and our depth and our wounds are being talked about as well, there's this sharing, trusting space. And then you go deeper and you go deeper and you go deeper. And that intimacy is like, I can look at any part of you and you're not, no judgment, no shame, no whatever. And then you're shining because you feel real, and you're that little girl part of yourself that's been hurt and wounded all this time. Now you just want to play in the sandbox with this man or whatever. That's the ultimate being of service in both directions.
Yeah, the more we go down this rabbit hole, like the more I am just all of those things that you just described, just completely not trying to hide anything. Like last weekend, Like I went to the beach with this guy, and like usually like I was on my period, and like I would probably like sacrifice that and like wear a cute bikini or whatever, but I wore board shorts, like short shorts, like Euro cut board shorts because I was on my fucking period. I was like, I'm not even gonna try to impress this person. And I told him I'm wearing these because I'm on my period.
Mhm. Very open and honest. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I just don't care anymore to like do that other stuff. Like, well, there's no point in me like making myself feel less uncomfortable for just to look a certain type of way.
And what shame is there that you're fertile, and those things have to pass through your body, and it's a cleansing process and it's healing you. Okay, great. There's not weird or uncomfortable or whatever, only if you've been taught that, probably.
And I was in the past, like it would have been like, what the fuck do I do? Like, and then like, I gotta shave my bikini line and all this bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, I don't give a fuck.
And what if it even progressed the sexuality? And some men would feel uncomfortable about that. The healing work that I do, if you're having your period, you're having your period. I wear a glove, or I have to wash up afterwards, or whatever. It's just the stage of the body. And if anything, it's actually a more vulnerable stage of the body, and some of the work can move more quickly. It doesn't scare me. I wouldn't use the white sheets that day, or that kind of stuff, right? But it's not disgusting. It's not like you got some kind of virus or whatever that I'm going to catch from this. Yeah, maybe your blood has it in it, or whatever, but it's beautiful. And then a woman to be able to be respected and worshiped in that space, and all of a sudden she's not feeling vulnerable and feeling empowered. What a gift. And if you take it away by feeling ashamed, or it's like, oh, look at this mess on my hand, or no, that's not what it's about.
Oh God.
Well, and that can happen. You don't even know your period's coming, and the sex can happen, and it shows up. And what are you going to do? Did anybody die? No. So it's just the stage, right? But it needs to be acknowledged too, because your hormones are all shifted, and weird shit's going on in your body and your mind, and you get triggered really easy. I think women can be a lot more vulnerable at that stage than they would normally. So actually it would probably be a good time for healing therapies and other sessions, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I guess you felt shame in your body instead of showing your gloriousness in your bikini or whatever. You felt a little uncomfortable, so it kind of showed in your outer appearance, right? Nothing bad. Was it shame? I don't know. Maybe I'm misreading.
I wasn't uncomfortable. Like I would have worn the bikini bottoms if I was feeling uncomfortable, because I'm like, oh, I gotta look good, but I didn't get hair, so I just wore the Euro cut boy bottoms.
Well, and maybe you wanted to wear a pad versus a tampon, or whatever, which board shorts might hide more, which a bikini probably sure wouldn't.
Yeah, the bikini hides nothing.
Exactly. So, but
anyways,
what I really want to impart to people, because a lot of people think that I talk too sexual or whatever, and I've surpassed that over this weekend. It's like, I'm not talking too sexual, because if we don't go back and re-find our sexuality and our ability to get pleasure into our life, which means a partner and sex and all this kind of stuff, we're like fucked or unfucked. I don't know what you want to call it, but we're just hiding in this, I'm not worthy and I'm angry and all this kind of stuff. If we just found somebody to be a partner with and started to explore those vulnerabilities in ourselves, and we start to open those things up, if we all had a lot more sexuality in our lives, we'd be a lot happier, a lot more balanced, a lot more normalized, and we wouldn't be thinking all these negative things about ourselves. And that's why I keep going back to that point, is we can talk about it all day long and we can have a discussion or whatever, but until you're in that sometimes sexual situation and feeling those hormones and those energies moving or whatever, you're not going to really feel being drawn into intimacy. Intimacy is into me, see me in my most vulnerable way, which might be naked or through penetration or other things. But if we don't get to that vulnerable place, we just walk around with this clothing shield and this metal shield and all this armor in our chest. And we really aren't talking about the things that are really hurting us.
Mm-hmm.
And the most vulnerable place to do that, is it with your therapist? Is it in a healing session? Or is it with somebody that you're trusting with your body and you really want them to see all of you? And in a vulnerable place where we can talk about it and say, yeah, it's best to see all of you, and the crying and the scared and all this kind of stuff. How are you going to heal a rape unless you have a man that you can trust? And it can be a healer, or it can be a boyfriend that you choose, or somebody from your community that feels that energy and is ready to hear you in your pain and your suffering. And maybe he got raped by his mother or something. You never know until you go down that hole. And that's the most sensitive thing. Why do you think sexuality and relationships have been so repressed, and pick one for the rest of your life and all this kind of stuff? And we're rebelling against it because we have all these university and high school traipses and fun and explore your sexuality and all this kind of stuff. And then hopefully you got it all out of your system and you figured it all out. And then you choose one for the rest of your life. And guess what? I'll tell you right now, the universe has created a lot of those relationships for you to learn, so that eventually you get to an awakened place and you can really have a relationship.
Yep.
So to play the game of marriage and let's figure this out and be hurt by 6 marriages and stack on all this debt and child support and hate and pain, instead, let's just get people starting to explore those things and understand the first levels of relationship are about healing. And we're going to get exposed, and the more intimate and more vulnerable you can get with people and sharing about it in a held space, in a community of people that know how to deal with triggers and all that kind of stuff, that would be the first person I would select as a woman to come into my life to work through any traumas I have left, is somebody that's going to be able to have a hard conversation and sit in her trigger. And it's like, oh, my ex I want to kill him, and you're here and you're the only man in the room. But it's like, okay, well, why did he get under your skin like that? What was going on? How did that feel? Why? Oh, he manipulated me. He was a narcissistic asshole or whatever. Having that conversation instantly starts to change the air. But the minute the projection's there, you just want to push away so you don't have to talk about it. Who won in that? And I will tell you right now, that's the rolling ball that grows moss on it as it goes down the hill, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger when you less and less and less talk about it. And eventually 2-5 years later, you hate each other and you're divorced.
Yep.
And nobody won. And I will guarantee your ex knows everything about you and where your wounds are and all that kind of stuff. And they'd be the best person to talk, but you hate them so much and you burned all their clothes and you threw them on the street or whatever. You'll never be able to deal with that vulnerability with that person. Can you imagine dealing with that vulnerability with somebody that you're attracted to, but don't really know and have no long-term interest? But after 3 months, could you have long-term interest in that person because they held you and they dealt with the work and all that kind of stuff? Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So being of service is an outward thing, but it's as much an inward thing when you start dealing with that. Who am I going to welcome into my life to be able to have that experience? So now do you look for a person that's the most sexy and has the greatest body and all this kind of stuff? Or you want to choose somebody that's done some work and it's like they can stand up to some shit? And then it's like, I'm going to hold you through all this and I'm going to scream and I'm going to want to hit or whatever, but hold me so I can get a chance to breathe. How many lovers have done that? They'd be terrified. You're going to explode into a million pieces. So like we said, so sorting out your relationships, sorting out your sexuality, sorting out all the things that you do, what your job is, how you work, your house. Those are all things that are being of service to yourself, to figure those things all out, get them settled so they're a good solid foundation that you can do deeper work with, and you're not going to explode into a million pieces. It's like, can you really have a discussion on your sexuality if you barely have enough money to pay your rent tomorrow and you can't buy groceries? There's a hierarchy of need, the Maslow's, and it's like, oh, you got to deal with your safe place in your house. Well, it's food, and then your home, and then it gets
Mhm.
into relationships and above.
I think
So
creativity is on the top.
and creativity is, yeah, you don't even start to have all that fun.
Yeah.
So just getting people to start to hear and comprehend that there's something else going on, and our relationships are just a symptom of us not being service to ourselves. We're trying to be of service to another so they serve us, and we're smashed into a million pieces when that person runs away, because our whole foundation, our whole stability, our hierarchy of need was based on another person living in their house, giving up all your stuff, combining your money. Now we're married, now we got kids. All these things pull at you, and it adds new variables into that hierarchy of need. So what are most people living at? They're living at just barely above home. It's like most people in America and Canada, they're one paycheck away from uh, losing their house. So how do we ever get into the point of going into our sexuality, and then our sexuality turns into this like pleasure and relationship and all this kind of stuff? It's all twisted because you're really not talking about the truth. Everybody's looking for safety in another, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the dream. Women are safe when they've got a house and a husband and 3 kids and all this kind of stuff. But it's not that gives you safety, because it can disappear in 3 seconds flat when they have an affair or do anything, and it's gone. Just like a job. Like I worked for a company called Nortel, and it was like, oh, you're going to have a pension for the rest of your life and you're doing so well. It was gone in 3 seconds flat. All that stability, all that stuff was all bullshit.
Yeah.
So where's stability? Until you've been of service to yourself to build that stability and not ask for a partner to come into your life to move into their house because they have more stability or whatever, you will crash every time.
Yes. Absolutely.
Honestly, I think that 3 months trials and all that kind of stuff, even year or two, I think it's really important for people to have their own houses or separate places that they can go to, especially while you're doing the spiritual work, because it's really messy when you're like sawed off angry at your partner and you got to go stay in the kids room down the hall and make your kid go somewhere else because it doesn't feel good, and then you got to be angry with them the next morning. And where if you had separate places, I'm going back to my corner over here and it'll be a day or two, let me simmer. But if you're getting poked all day long at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and
Mm-hmm.
not the process.
Yeah.
So really, until you've done like a 3 month trial relationship like that and then started to go deeper, I would never think of moving in with a person. Like, yeah, you can spend nights at each other's place or whatever while you're sorting all this kind of stuff out. Even combining your kids in that 3 month period or whatever could be a little messy. It might be better to just kind of keep that out of the picture. And then magic starts to happen because now you've chosen you, and you can have relationship without having to combine all those things. You've untrained yourself from the old way. It's kind of crazy how we went full circle, and it's about living in your dream, but can you really serve other people until you've been met in relationship and have your sexual needs and your pleasure and all those things somehow being fed?
Yeah. I mean, I think it just stems down to just opening that door where all of those things fill
Mhm.
all of those things.
You can stand and be of service without having a partner, but the richness of the service and the support that you'll need in your service
Yeah.
all comes from having another in your life or welcoming multiple others, and that can be okay too. So we went down and said, okay, yeah, service was dealing with your stuff inside, but a big piece of that stuff inside is relationship, sexual, how you connect, who you have to talk to about your shit as it shows up. And
Mm-hmm.
it can go way faster. Like we go into this inward circle and we're going into our cocoon and we don't talk to anybody and all this kind of stuff. But how much faster could you process through that if you had a loving partner right beside you that's right there going through the same process? It would be huge. So that relationship component, we've had to, because 3D relationships have forced us to, it's not even possible at a 3D level to be able to support each other without some of this higher level stuff. So we sectioned off relationship and we're just doing it by ourselves right now. But the new way is going to have really beautiful partners beside us, and they're going to be going through the same work, and our life purposes may shine together. It's like, oh, I'm building a business, and it's like, okay, I'm doing sexual healing for the women and she's doing it for the men, or whatever, because you've now let that deeper connection come.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about doing the work and it's fucking up your life all the time, because you've done that work before you welcome that person into your life, and now it's at a more stabilized base.
Yep.
It's just so crazy to see, and that's why we need the community, and that's why we need to get people into a space where they can meet other people that are at these same levels and want these same values, and we can say, hey, I choose you. I'd love to do this exploration, and this is a new crazy experimental thing, and it's scary as hell, but let's try it. And then couple dozen people do it, and it's like, holy fuck, that just normalized so much stuff, and we worked through all this stuff, and I'm a better person because of it. I know I don't love her in that way, but I'm going to respect her for the rest of my life because we went through all of this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden it's magic. It's like, holy crap, now you have this other person that you can really trust, but I didn't choose them to be my lover for the long term because I want to experience more. I want to experiment, but I've done my work, and the grade of person that may come into my life maybe even higher. But it was a decision that was made by both, not like, I'm letting you go, I'm ghosting you, you're not going to hear from me again or whatever. That happens. It's way easier than doing the work. So to be a holistically complete, comfortable person, you got to love yourself first, and you got to be your own inner masculine, feminine. And then there's this place where you go out and you bring in somebody to help you work through the rest of your shit and your wounds and your stuff, because those wounds will show up in your service too, right? If you don't self-value yourself, you're not going to be able to charge enough, or you're not going to be able to get people on. So that partnership is exposing that with a person that you can trust, rather than flailing around trying to deal with a bunch of clients that have their own wounds.
Yeah.
So I just keep going back to the fact that sexuality is so key in all of this. And it feels like I got a one-track mind or whatever. But if you want to heal all this shit, you got to clean up your root, sacral, and solar. And sex is going to do that in the most rapid time. That governs your relationship. That governs your home, your abundance, your money, your all this kind of stuff. Because those are plugged up. They're designed to be plugged up in our societal mess of programming that we have. And if we can get that moving, start with deal with your self-pleasure, deal with moving that energy all by yourself before you even plan to do anything with anybody else, and then start moving into relationship, and then start moving into more, and then dealing with the relationship conflicts that come up. And then you get out of that, and then you got a stable base, and now you're 4 up on the Maslow's hierarchy of need. And now you can start being creative. Can you really be in your passion, fully doing your service until you've met that 3rd level, which is relationship and pleasure? Most people don't understand that, because then they're just in this kind of constant cycle of just paying the bills and it not working out. You never really get to those higher levels of bliss. And can you have bliss if you don't have all that stuff sorted out? Relationships a conflict. It's not bliss right now. Well, use relationship as a tool to build yourself and to heal. So someday I got to build a book, because it's all inside rattling around.
Let it out. Let it out.
It hasn't felt right yet, is all I can say, because reality is shifting so quietly in the background. I want it to be fully based on 5D concepts and as a bridge rather than a description of 3D whatever. And here's a guess at how to go across. I want to be able to build it from experience and my own progression and all that kind of stuff. So that's coming really soon.
Yeah, just to cap on the energies, I just feel like I'm on natural drugs all the time now with like all of the energies.
And why would you surmise that is happening? What's changed?
Everything. I mean, I guess ultimately the 5D transitioning of just being in the now moment of everything, instead of chained to a past or a future. thing.
So what changed in the world that made you feel safe enough to do that?
Myself, circumstances, the ascension thing, a lot of things, healing.
Yeah. But did your mom and dad soothe you into making that choice? No, you had a hard conversations with them and finally made a choice that theirs is the old way and I want better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would you say you've carved out your own new reality now? Within the space of the 3D and the density and all this kind of stuff, Anya has a space that's a bubble that she can feel safe in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all based on you now.
Yep.
And how many hard conversations did you have to find you?
So many. So many.
And do you regret any one of them?
No.
Okay. So that, people, is awakening. Going and unwinding from your whole stranglehold on reality, which is 3D and all the rules, and letting go. Like, how much are you hanging on to now that's 3D?
Not much.
And those are the only things that are probably still hurting you, and you'll have to let go of those eventually.
Yes, absolutely.
So you said you came to clean everything up with your family and all this kind of stuff, and that's coming to a close. And look at the new launch pad you've built yourself.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to hear and comprehend. I hate using the word understand because it means I'm over them or whatever, but to comprehend that Anya didn't chase anything. She just went with what showed up, and all these things happened when they happened, and she just dealt with them in the moment, no matter how hard they were. There was no chase.
I stopped chasing. Dude, chasing is such has so much suffering attached to it.
Because that place is better than the place you're at. So what do you got to change in you, and how do you got to twist yourself to get to that place? Well, what if that place is right here and it's just surrendering that anything has to be anything?
Exactly.
I got to have a boyfriend. Oh, I got to have some money. Oh, I can't live with my parents and be free or whatever. Those are all just choices that make you not okay with what is.
Exactly.
And that's the ultimate of struggle, is not okay with what is.
What is. Yep. That's it right there.
Can you change what is if you have no money and you can't move and you can't whatever? No. Take a deep breath. I'm here. Something better is going to show up. And that's all you can do.
Yep.
That's really all you can do. Everybody wants to understand what struggle is, or not struggle, surrender is, and all this kind of stuff. It's about not caring what is, because you can't change it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like giving up in your battle, like, oh, you better treat me better, or this girl down the street, and your friend phoned you, and it's like, I wish she'd really stop doing that. And it has nothing to do with surrender to say, I wish she'd stop doing that. She did it. Can you change her? No. So do you feel like lost because what you've done is undefined yourself, and you took all the labels off your forehead and your body? And do you feel lost? Because most people feel that as a death, that they're losing something in each step. So how is it different for you now?
It's not like a loss. It's just like a coming to my true self. And then that true self doesn't have any definitions. It just is. It just is. It's just here absorbing the nutrients, the sun, the experiences, and doesn't put any pressure on anything else. Wait, your audio, I can't hear you anymore. Ruh-roh.
There, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Weird. I'm using this processing software. Maybe it has a timeout after an hour and a half or something, but
Maybe.
Weird.
Yeah.
But do you feel you're missing anything?
No, I feel finally complete.
Mm-hmm. And it's magical. You said you feel in this bliss and this whatever. And
anything could show up and you'd have to be okay with it, right? The fact that you can't stand what's going on, or COVID's got to stop, or the world's got to stop, or whatever. You're now in your own reality, letting it process its thing. And I keep looking at it. The density and the fear would be impossible for any single person. Even if half the world joined up and said we're going against it, it's so strong we couldn't overcome it, because literally it would be a war. It would be lashing out people. Like I heard the other day that if Trump would have won, enough people, there would have been like a revolution in the US, because people would have, oh, it was wrong or whatever. The only safe outcome was this thing. And now they're slowly deteriorating it by doing all the new recounts and all this kind of shit, so that eventually that it changes, because people were so angry and they're so in fear, and they've perfected this process of controlling us so badly that there's no way out fighting it, because it literally comes back on itself. So the only way out is to shine your light into it and say, I don't accept that anymore. And you can't do this. And you just shine that light, and a tipping point happens, because they've controlled the whole system. Every friggin' people that has any kind of power or control is infected. And people don't understand that. So can you win by fighting that system? No, it's been ruled against you. The only way to win is to sit in your own reality and sit in that bubble of love. And it's not like you're giving up on the world. I shine my light into the world every single freaking day. And people that are angry and frustrated, I just shine my light, because there's nothing else to do. I could put a bulletproof vest on and take a gun and go and try and kill somebody and kill that leader or whatever. I don't want to do that, because that violence just begets violence. And do we want to go into that hole? No. We want to shine love and 5D, and Anya's 5D and Paul's 5D and Patrick's 5D and all these people's 5Ds are the anchors that the new reality is being built on. And this is a new reality. Living your light is a new reality. It's going to be an anchor where you can go and sit with people and stew in new concepts, new values, new principles, and see how it feels. And if you don't like it, you step out of the group or whatever. But if you do like it, then all of a sudden you're having a 3-month trial relationship with somebody that you can really trust, or you're going to community meetings and just meeting people that just make you shine. And then your service starts to grow. And all of a sudden it's like, I want to see you do that. And hey, I'll take your healing modality because you're not confident in yourself. I want to try it. Poof. Next thing you know, 15 people want your healing modality and everybody's talking about it because you're amazing. Poof. So look at the amazingness of just being of service. And could you have got to this place without being of service to yourself first?
Nowhere.
And it's not being used. It's not being vampired. It's not being manipulated. It's not just giving in to everybody's request or whatever. It's choosing you every single time.
Every single time.
And some people would call that selfish. Keep going.
I was just saying that is the relationship with God. Like, I still think about what happened last week, but it's just like that is my definition of relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But she just shone her light and reaffirmed that you deserve that light and you were doing the same thing and all this kind of stuff. It just gave you a palpable experience of your service. She was of service to you. And you got to see even deeper. And now you can render that for another person.
Nope.
Next time you're in the park, it's like, oh, somebody's sitting in the corner and you feel a pull and you're blessing them, praying for them. That's how simple, palpable experience of an angel, whatever, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope people can comprehend. Well, so let's start our closure because we're at an hour and a half. Yep. So I'll let you say yours and then I'll do a little closure after that.
Okay. I don't know what to say, but being of service is a gift. And we're all being called to whatever our gift is that we can distribute to the collective, because you have this unique thing that we all need.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited to just be in this space.
Mhm. And your specific life experiences and all the shit and good and all that stuff make you unique to be a gift that no one else can offer.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how fucked up we think we are or whatever, or how bad our experience was or whatever, I will guarantee there are other people that have had that exact same experience, feel like shit, feel uncomfortable, hate themselves, whatever, feel wounded. And for us to stand in our light, to speak vulnerably about what it felt like to have that and how we worked through it, and literally standing in that vibration and that light and shining it into them, you're literally healing them by seeing them with no judgment as they speak about it, that they share it, and that vulnerability is there, and literally they pass through it like 100 times faster by having someone to shine a spotlight on that dark feeling and hold the space in a container. It's like no darkness is coming in. We are holding this space and my energy is wrapped around you. Speak about it, because you don't need to be hurt again. You're now at the point you can rise above, and there's no judgment. There's no weirdness. There's no something off or whatever in that. It's real, and it's intimate, and it's vulnerable. And once you get that out, you want to know how many people walk around with a mask on of I'm bad because of X, or I'm weird, or I'm strange because this thing happened to me that they don't think anybody else happened to. Well, the world, by keeping us from talking about it, basically makes us in a cage of our own design. And Anya's found a way out. I'm finding ways out. So, and that's always by talking about this stuff. I did a really intimate live to me this morning about my experience with women and how things like I got to get to know you better, or women that just shut the door for no reason. They can be intimate and then they go to sleep, and then they judge themselves somehow, and then all of a sudden they don't want to talk to you, and it was all this beautiful stuff. There's some part of that is mine, some part of that is theirs, and the more I stand in I did nothing wrong, and I'd like to learn more of understanding why, it frees me. And then I can ask questions, and then that doesn't happen anymore once I'm free of all my shames and guilts, and that happened because I'm this, or I'm broken, or whatever, because I'm constantly going back and choosing me, and new experiences will show up to test to see if I'm still broken or feel that, and then poof, something new comes in, and then new depth comes in, and that's where I'm starting to build towards this relationship thing. I've got the house and other stuff sorted out. And trust me, there's even points where house and money and stuff, you eventually have to surrender that to. And it's like, I could lose my house at any moment. I may not have enough money if a client doesn't pay me or whatever. You have no control over that anyways. Would your spirit want you to go through that experience unless you needed some lesson in understanding that you're running out of money and all this kind of stuff? So you rise above it and you just breathe. And it's like, I don't know how this is going to work out, but money is going to sort itself out. And then eventually it's not even your home and your relationships and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, I'm fucking good with me, and I'm safe in this body because I can hold boundaries. I can have hard conversations with people. I can stand up for myself and not get used over and over and over again. That's when you're truly safe, and it can be anywhere. And then you're really being of service because nobody can even say things. They can't project shit back on you because you know damn well that you're not any part of any of those energy. But when that man said that stuff to me, I knew damn well that I'd only given in happiness and trying to help him. And the fact that he wanted to turn it around, I know damn well that was not my energy at all. If anything, I was standing up for myself, and I won because it didn't turn into a big meltdown or whatever. And if I would even proceeded to go through that, it would have been more tests and bullshit. And I don't need more tests and bullshit because I'm done. You're the only person that gets to choose. So final note is being of service is to you first. Anya's stated that. I've stated that. Clean up your shit. Keep cleaning. Start setting boundaries, creating sovereignty, all this kind of stuff. And then opportunities will come based on that, where you can be more of service to other people. And you'll find people that'll either test you to see if you're self-worthy or not. And those are gifts, whether it feels ugly or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have your self-worth, more and more people will come with self-worth, and then you'll expect balance, and balance will show up, and only people that have balance from now on will show up. And it's magic. And you didn't have to change anybody. You didn't have to shout and yell and make a bunch of boundaries. You just kept choosing you. And it's like, oh, no, I'm not coming over to your house to do that. I'm not doing this today. I'm resting.
Yeah.
So look at the fine line between a lesson and a big step in your sovereignty is of being service. And if it's not working out, you just got something a little off target, and try again. Make a choice. Okay, it was really messy this time. Make a choice next time. Stand in your power. Say, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to help you unless we discuss money before we start, or whatever. And then magic happens. So that's my perspective and Anya's perspectives on service. Hopefully this is of value to you. And I always look at the end, and there's people who give thumbs up, but so few put comments sometimes, or not until afterwards. So share the comments. What's the perspective? What do you feel is off? What's different for you? That helps other people learn. It's not just for us, it's for everybody. Say, hey, last time I tried that, it didn't work out, or this felt awful. We'll sort it out in the comments. That's what this is all about, is sharing and being vulnerable and learning new perspectives. And maybe we're wrong, and we'll correct that now based on something that you'll share, or some facet of what we said is wrong. There's no bad in any of that. We all just learned. So
Thank you.
cool. Loving everyone. And thank you, Anya, for your wonderful shares and participation. And it's so cool to see both feminine, masculine perspectives and other things. So have fun, everybody. We'll be back on Thursday. And I'm also having Living Your Light calls on Saturdays at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, which is UTC -6. They're in the Living Your Light community group. We had 4 men attend. It turned into kind of a men's group, but everyone's going to be different, and welcome you to attend those as well. So thank you, everybody. Stay strong and choose yourself, and let's see where you end up on Thursday. Thanks to everybody. Thanks, Anya. See you later.